An Ohio community just outside Pittsburgh, the volatile and dangerous scene forcing first responders and investigators to stay back as they try to determine how this happened and why.
We have obtained 2 videos which show preliminary indications of mechanical issues on one of the rail car axles.
Some 2,000 residents ordered to evacuate, and tonight sheriff's deputies are still going door to door, urging residents to get out.
I can't stress enough that if you are in the evacuation zone, you need to leave.
NTSB investigators now say 20 train cars were carrying hazardous materials, 10 of which derailed, though they aren't sure which cars, if any, have been compromised.
I saw this big, huge flame. A police car came up and said, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate.
The massive...
Live from WKYC Studios, this is 3 News at 6 with Russ Mitchell and Laura Queso.
Now at 6, more of that breaking news out of East Palestine.
This is video just into our newsroom a few minutes ago as crews completed a controlled release of a hazardous chemical from the site of this train derailment. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Norfolk Southern crews identified several rail cars that contain toxic explosive materials.
Neil Fisher is in Columbiana County tonight with the latest. He has been there all day covering the story for us. Neil, what can you tell us?
Good evening, Russ and Laura. It's been about an hour and a half since that controlled release took place by Norfolk Southern Railroad crews, and right now it's very stagnant. There's not a whole lot of wind in the air, and the plume of smoke has just risen up into the air and kind of stayed there over this small community.
Powerful earthquakes struck Turkey and neighboring Syria. 10,000 people are feared dead. Watch as aftershocks from the 7.8 quake bring down an entire apartment building. People run for their lives. This reporter is doing a live shot when a strong aftershock hits. He flees with everyone, and when the cameraman turns around, you can see what a close call it was. Then the reporter runs back to help a family emerging from the debris. He grabs a child in his arms and tries to comfort her. Cameras caught another building collapsing. Drone footage shows the scale of the devastation. A desperate search is underway to find victims buried alive.
A great good news story to start off. It's been a week since the regular Wednesday chapel at Asbury University in Kentucky, well, it turned into something far more. It turned into the manifest presence of God. God has been moving among the students and faculty, and people are traveling to the university to join in this move of God.
Well, one student told CBN News he prays this revival will encourage churches and pastors and stir up a hunger for the Lord. Wendy Griffith brings us the story from Wilmore, Kentucky.
The revival here at Asbury is now in its 6th night, as hundreds of people have come from near and far to just enjoy the presence of God. Even though it's almost midnight, this auditorium is still packed with people that are still coming in.
In the last 2 evenings, we've estimated well over 3,000 people that are here and at these different locations to worship the Lord.
Were you prepared for this?
No, there's no playbook for this. We're still trying to create some space for what's happening here. And so that's a delicate balance, and we're trying to manage that as thoughtfully and faithfully as we can and just steward what's happening on campus.
I was definitely a bit skeptical at first just because growing up with my church, we never had anything like this, and so I just wasn't used to the idea of a revival. But the longer it's gone on, I've realized that if God wants it to happen, it's going to happen.
My prayer is that this will encourage churches, encourage pastors, encourage just believers, and just stir up a hunger for the Lord, because again, it's not about Asbury, it's about Jesus.
Worth learning more. So my understanding is this began in a completely conventional service, and a boy got up and started talking about his own flaws, and then something changed in the atmosphere and it never ended. Is that fair?
That's completely what happened. So here at Asbury University, 3 mornings a week, we have chapel at 10 a.m. sharp. The whole student body gets together and we sing praise to the Lord, and we hear a message from a speaker, and for seemingly no reason at first. On Wednesday, February 8th, it didn't end, and that's kind of the logistical side of what's been going on. And then, you know, on the deeper side of things, what's been happening here since Wednesday is there's a young army of believers who are rising to claim Christianity, the faith, as their own, as a young generation and as a free generation, and that's why people can't get enough.
That's amazing. So
we begin with the search to find a missing 2-year-old boy in Hernando County. Good evening. I'm Jennifer Lee.
I'm Keith. Kate, thank you for joining us tonight. A full day of searching continues into the night by air. The sheriff says Joshua Rowland, who goes by JJ, was last seen wearing a gray Batman shirt and dark pajama pants on Cheever Road in Brooksville. News Channel 8's Justin Shecker joining us live from that area tonight. He has the latest on this search. Justin.
Keith and Jen, good evening to you both. After the sun went down, the Hernando County Sheriff's Office suspended its ground search for 2-year-old Joshua J.J. Rowland. But after dark, we have still seen volunteers out here trying to find the missing boy.
You know, if I lost my kid, I would want somebody to come help.
Christopher Littlepage has never met missing 2-year-old Joshua J.J. Rowland. But before going home, the father of 5 from Brooksville stopped by the area of Cheever and Yonts Roads to look for the little boy with the long curly blonde hair.
It just pulls a lot of heartstrings when you're a father or when you're a parent that you just want to bring the child home, because, you know, like you and I, we can go out for the night and hang out in the woods and we have survival skills. A 2.5-year-old doesn't know how to survive in this kind of climate.
Littlepage says he's lived in this area for a long time.
You have a lot of farmland, you have a lot of open fields, but you also have a lot of swampland out here.
Throughout the afternoon and into the evening, Hernando County Sheriff's deputies looked for the missing boy on the ground and through the air. Canines from the Pasco County Sheriff's Office and dive teams from the Citrus County Sheriff's Office also joined the efforts to bring the child home.
Revelation 11:15. Then the 7th angel sounded, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of God and his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. And tonight we come declaring to the world what the apostles and prophets have always declared, that darkness shall come to an end, and that the last trumpet shall sound, the archangel shall shout, and the Lord himself will shout, and he will split the sky. It will roll back like a scroll, and we will see the greatest transference of power the world has ever witnessed. When the Father, who has promised his Son the nation, will give it to him as his inheritance. Beloved, right now, Jesus is ruling and reigning as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords at the right hand of the Father. The angels know this. The saints know this. But today, the kingdoms of this world, the governments of this world do not know that he's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And yet the Father has promised. And Zephaniah 2:11 says that in that day he will show himself awesome to them. He will reduce the gods of the earth to nothing, so that the peoples can worship him from every shore. Church history also tells us there are divine seasons when God puts the world on notice that what the angels know around the throne of God, that Jesus Christ is Lord of all, he puts geographic regions on notice that he's the Lord of all. That in a moment the Spirit is poured out, and what's true around heaven becomes clear on earth to sinner and believer alike. Tonight we want to begin to pray that what you've experienced, all the nations of the earth would experience. That what heaven knows about Jesus, That what heaven knows about Jesus, all the nations would know about Jesus. Beloved, we're crying out for every college campus tonight to have a revival. But beloved, I want to put something bigger than just college campuses in front of you. Before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord, the Apostle Peter promised that he would pour out his Spirit on all flesh, and his sons and daughters would prophesy. And that before that coming great day of the Lord, there would be a great crying out for salvation in the nation. And that even Israel would call out, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord."
We give the gentleman who pulled him out of the woods. As soon as I saw him, I saw the curly hair, and I ran right up to him, asked him if he needed help, and I asked, JJ looked happy. He didn't look scared. He was holding on to that man like that was his saving grace. That gentleman went in there, found him, and we were all there to help him. I offered him water, Gatorade, snacks. JJ didn't want any of that. He just wanted mommy. He asked for mommy.
It's smiles all around this morning. I can tell you happening right now. The man who found him, who scooped him up, is speaking. So we'll let you get right to that and hear from that man hopefully shortly here.
And he is speaking right now. Aaron Parsegian is there. Let's go ahead and listen in, Aaron.
Seeing, that little boy.
Yeah, it, it's so many emotions, I guess, I would say who wouldn't get emotional, with that situation, but I was just so happy I found him, so happy he was alive and well, and just seeing the parents reunited with him, and I just couldn't ask for a better day, a better outcome, and I'm just pleased with all these people that showed up. It could have been anybody, just happened to be me.
What was the look on his face when he saw you?
He seemed, he wasn't smiling, but he was happy, and he put his hands up in the air for me to come get him. So I was calling his name, and I just started saying, "Your mom's coming," because I didn't want to scare him. But that didn't seem to scare him. He was happy when I picked him up, and like I said, I think he was in some briars, so he didn't want to go any further, but he was standing up, and he looked like he'd been hiking for a while, so maybe he'll end up being my hiking buddy when he gets older.
As a Marine, does it shock you how a 2-year-old could survive out there for 24 hours?
It is. It really is. Yes. You probably wouldn't find a lot of adults that would stay out there in the middle of the night, and who knows what's out there. I mean, we have coyotes and bobcats and that type of stuff, and but I'm sure being 2, he had to be scared, especially during the night. But he seemed in good spirits. He wasn't didn't seem to be any danger. I saw the scratches on his legs and his arms, and I took a picture with me and his family, his parents and him, and he was just happy. He was happy, happy to be back.
How thankful are you that, instead of going on that fishing trip this morning, you decided to spend your time searching for this little boy?
Yeah, I'm very thankful. It's I think a lot of people here probably felt the same way, and I don't know, I figured I'd go fishing anytime, but I need to come out and help everybody, and I know the area good, being a 3rd generation here in Brooksville. I've got this county pretty figured out, so it was just great. I'm sure the Lord told me to be here.
Did you speak to his parents at all?
I did, yes. I was in the ambulance with them, and they insisted on taking a picture with me, and of course they hugged me, the whole family, grandma, cousins, everybody, and like I said, it's just my lucky day, our lucky day, I should say. It's everybody's lucky day, and I'm just glad I was a part of it.
And what exactly did you say that you heard that made you walk in that direction where you found him?
It was almost a whimpering noise, but he didn't really seem to be crying. It was almost like the verge of crying, but he was just kind of making some childhood noises, nothing like he wasn't screaming or crying that he had any major problems. And as soon as he see me, you could almost see him light up, and as soon as I seen him and his hair, I'm like, that's him. And so of course I jumped on 911, and it's kind of hard because I was trying to, keep him calm, instead of trying to. So another gentleman, I yelled at him and said, "I've got him." So he come, and I gave him my phone and said, will you talk to 911? So that's kind of where we're at. Within minutes, we were loaded with deputies, and everybody was just thrilled to death that I've seen that this ended so great, really.
Can you describe the area kind of around?
Yeah, where I went, I came into a real wooded area over at Ernie Weaver Youth Park, which is just north of here. And I come through, and then I come to a big pasture, kind of like the one right behind you. And, there's different areas that you could go. I looked to the right, and I could see Cobb Road, the truck route down here. So I decided to go straight, and off to one side, I seen a couple things they use on fields for fertilizing, big water tanks and all they use. And I was like, well, let me go check that, make sure he's not around there, you know. So I did. I came back over to where I was at, and here I'm trying to decide which way to go. And I kind of looked in the area as though this is where I'm going, and that's where I heard him. And he was 100 feet away is about it. And so, you know, I'm sure everybody here was wishing somebody found him. I just happened to be the guy. So, you know, I'm no hero or nothing else. It just was my lucky day.
Lifelong friend, huh?
Oh yeah, yes, for sure. Yep, I got to meet back up with him. But
We rented a. And the sheriff, who also got really emotional this afternoon.
We did. I talked with both of them, and what happened here this morning, just incredible. It's because of the hundreds of volunteers who came here to North Brooksville to help that JJ was found. Now, Sheriff Al Nienhuis, he teared up as he called this a miracle. But before we hear from him, I want to introduce you to the volunteer that found little JJ. His name is Roy Link.
Oh my gosh.
24 hours after Joshua JJ Rowland was missing,
Group found him.
this is the moment he was found and brought to the ambulance.
Yay, baby!
In a park roughly a mile from his house.
I went across a field of grass. I came up on some woods, and I listened good. I heard like a whimpering kind of noise.
Roy Link knew it must be JJ.
I went in the woods, and about 100 feet from where I was at, I think he was in some stickers. There's a lot of stickers and all there, but he was happy to see me.
Link tells us JJ was found with scratches all over him, but overall he was in good shape given the circumstances.
Deputy showed up. I guess I made a friend real quick because he hung on to me. He didn't want to go to anybody, you know, until his parents showed up. So it's just a blessing in disguise.
JJ was taken to a nearby hospital. A family friend tells me he was discharged and brought back home. He's doing well, minus a lot of bug bites and scratches.
Today, everybody, JJ was everybody's kid. He didn't belong to any one person, he belonged to everybody until he was found.
The community showed up, and it's because of them JJ was found. I see you getting a little emotional.
Yeah, it's, I have a little grandson that's about JJ's age, so it's hard not to think of them. So, plus it's a little hot out here, my eyes are sweating.
Your eyes are sweating, okay.